Special cameos, modern warfare, and deeply rooted psychological issues. This episode has so much to unpack. This time, we'll continue discussing some of the character moments, as well as some of the action in the episode. Welcome to Dash of Salt with AJ. I'm your host, Ahsoka Jackson. We had all kinds of great little character and story moments sprinkled throughout episode 3. For one thing, we had Annie trailing Kenny. My best friend had actually thought the girl was someone familiar when we saw the teaser for this episode. I was thinking maybe it was a flashback to Reiner's mom, but I also noticed that she looked rather young, even if it was supposed to be 9 years ago. But later, I did see someone mention that it was Annie, so that spoiled it for me a bit. Though as spoilers go, that was pretty minor, and I didn't especially mind. I was really more just excited to know what the heck happens when those two potentially interact, you know? I gotta hand it to Annie, though. She's quick on her feet, both figuratively and literally. I don't know if she already had that cover story planned, but it really seemed more like a really good improvisation. Either way, good job there. And that move she pulled right after it, though? The speed and flexibility were on point. That's Annie right there, and that kick was absolutely wicked. I think I was cussing with happiness. Both the timing and the animation of it. Mappa is here to take names, y'all. They're not here to play around. It reminds me of what I said after I heard about how Isayama himself had insisted on certain changes from the manga, like giving Gabby and Peak more moments together to showcase their bond to the audience. I was like, okay, so can folks get off Mappa's back now? I mean, you can always hop back on if they do something actually worth the level of criticism they've been dealing with. It was also really great to have that little confrontation with Kenny and that moment where he solely referenced Levi's mom, Kushal, and the situation she was in. And this is one of the few times I can hold Kenny up as a role model, but take a hint, guys. This is how you avoid certain awkward, life-changing situations in the future. Like Smokey Bear says, only you can prevent it. Those two do have that similar killer energy, though. Kenny is like Annie's coldness and fighting skill, coupled with some of Reiner's and Commander Zachley's madness. By the way, some folks feel that this scene should have been cut in favor of more exposition from the manga, and I do suppose it would maybe be puzzling if you haven't watched the previous seasons or are a bit foggy on them. But then that probably applies to a lot of stuff this season. And I feel like most of us probably get it. They were trying to locate and reclaim the Founding Titan, and if she was able to locate Kenny, that means they were definitely on the right track, aside from the whole twist with Aaron's involvement. I do think the part about Annie's being at her limit and the team's having had its cover blown could have been better explained, though. Anyway, since we were talking about the animation a second ago, I got to talk about the sequences with the shifters. First of all, I loved how they took time to explain and clarify their different abilities and points of strength and sort of their function on the battlefield. Although it's weird hearing anyone refer to Bertold as like a deity of destruction, or a deity of any type. But I think I see the deliberate irony in having him and then Armin to be being the ones to inherit that titan. And I loved that little style of like military dossiers on all of them. That was such a great touch, and another reminder of that jump in time. And that sort of leads me to the action itself. It was absolutely eerie and surreal seeing them fight on this relatively modern battlefield and against tech like that. It felt like an alternate universe concept, and I don't mean that as a criticism at all. Folks were saying that when Season 4 started in the manga, it felt like we'd shifted to a whole new series. And I hope that doesn't scare anyone off, because believe me, we're still going to get the best that AOT has to offer, and we're getting our classic stuff. I mean, they already previewed some of that in the trailer for Season 4. We saw Levi in the forest again, doing his Beyblade thing, and fighting Zeke and more of the pure Titans, or mindless Titans. I cannot wait to see that. Although, if you think about it, all this is happening after Levi has found out for sure that he's been killing actual human beings all this time. That's gotta hit differently, right? Plus, these are fellow Eldians forcibly transformed, so they didn't even have a choice. And from what we've seen, Marley likes to choose as victims people who show resistance to its injustices. Now, I don't know what all of them individually have done, and whether any of the folks it chooses are legit criminals, and not just ones facing trumped-up charges, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say that most of the people probably didn't remotely deserve what happened to them. Plus, they're still being singled out for that unique method of punishment rather than the regular justice system other Marlians would be facing, right? And there's the fact that they're being used to persecute an innocent population over on the island/nation of Paradise. It's just screwed several times over. Anyways, back to the Titans. The visuals and the animation itself were absolutely sick. Once again, there was that aspect of lighting and mood, and it was so eerie and exciting, and I just got absolute chills in that scene. It was incredible. Haunting, uncanny, and it had me hyped as a mother trucker mate. And this was seeing Titans basically overwhelm battlefields, a little like we got in the first episode this season. Now that's juicy as heck. That's a delicacy. But we also know from the trailer that we're going to be having Titan versus Titan battles as well. Are y'all ready for that? It's going to be beyond sick. Are you freaking ready, mates? I am, but I'm not, okay? I am, but I'm not. This episode alone had me jumping up and down and whisper screaming at some points. But action aside, I'm thinking of the great character moments that continued here. It was just a variety. We had Reiner and Armin again. It was so cool to see that flashback and get to hear Kajiyuki reprise his role as young Eren. I know I told y'all how much I'm looking forward to hearing adult Eren, especially after that preview in the Season 4 trailer. I'm insanely excited about that. But make no mistake, hearing him as the young recruit version of Eren was, oh, my heart. And right in there with the weeping and the emotion there and just that rawness he brought to it. Kaji is back, and he's doing it as perfectly as ever, you know? And folks gotta stop calling Eren a crybaby. With the depth of what this kid has been experiencing all this time, he ought to just be in freaking tears constantly. And when you've experienced rage that's expressed through tears, guys, those tears should scare y'all. They really freaking should. Reiner, though. Buddy, you realize this kid is the enemy, right? I know you have a role to play and all, but don't be giving the enemy motivational speeches. Especially not this mother trucker. I swear, people keep saying stuff to Eren that they're probably going to live to regret. Reiner, Armin, y'all need to stop. Especially because one of the funny things about Eren is that he does actually listen to folks more than you'd expect. He's not this... He's this hot-headed protagonist, but he's not restricted to that archetype or to a very typical or stereotypical version of that. He's actually shown this ability to defer and to absorb wisdom from both his superiors and his peers. The relationship between himself and Armin has probably been the clearest example of that. Hopefully I can get that darned article about Eren finished soon, but boy, is it a beast to write. I cover all that stuff in there. The clock's counting down, so I'm gonna take a break right here. Next episode, I'll be exploring some of the running themes I noticed when it came to Reiner's story and his mental development. In the meantime, thanks for hanging with me today, and I hope you had fun. If you're enjoying the podcast, please don't forget to subscribe for updates and leave a like, share, or review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, social media, or whichever platform you use to listen. I especially look forward to hearing your comments, questions, and theories when it comes to Attack on Titan. By the way, the audio-only versions always come out first, and then the videos that provide subtitles for the episodes are finished sometime after that. So audio format is where you go if you want the immediate updates and the full library of released episodes. Anyways, be blessed, stay salty, and tatakai.